Spotify pays artists almost nothing. We're talking fractions of a cent per stream. Let that sink in. You can get thousands of streams and still earn less than a coffee. Millions of streams and still struggle to pay rent. So here's the question that doesn't make sense. Why do millions of artists keep uploading their music to Spotify? Why not leave? Why not switch to platforms that pay more? At first glance, it looks like a broken system, and in many ways, it is. But if you look deeper, you'll realize something important. Spotify was never designed to make artists rich, it was designed to make them visible. And that changes everything. Let's take a step back. Before streaming, the music industry worked differently. Artists sold CDs, vinyl, downloads. If people bought your music, you got paid. Simple. But today, music is no longer owned, it's accessed. Unlimited songs for a monthly subscription. That's the model. And in that model, money gets distributed very differently. Instead of earning per sale, artists earn per stream. And that's where the problem begins, because a single stream is worth almost nothing. So artists need scale, massive scale. But here's the twist. Spotify is one of the few platforms that can give you that scale. And that's why artists stay. Think about how people discover music today. They don't go to record stores anymore. They don't search randomly. They open an app and press play. And from that moment, they are guided by playlists, by recommendations, by algorithms. Spotify decides what comes next, what you hear, what you skip, what you repeat. And over time, it builds your taste. Now imagine being an artist trying to enter that system. If you get picked up by the algorithm, you grow. If you get added to playlists, you explode. But if you don't, you remain invisible. That's the real game. Not money, visibility. Let's talk about playlists, because playlists are the real currency. Getting into the right playlist can change everything. One placement can generate thousands, sometimes millions of streams. And more importantly, it introduces your music to new listeners. People who didn't know you existed. People who might become fans. And fans are where the real value is. Because here's something most people don't understand. Artists don't rely on streaming to make money. They rely on people. Streaming brings attention, but attention must be converted into followers, into fans, into supporters. Those fans will buy concert tickets, buy merchandise, support future releases. That's where the real income is, not in the stream itself, but in what the stream creates. So when an artist uploads a song to Spotify, they're not thinking, how much will I earn per stream? They're thinking, how many people will hear this? Because if enough people hear it, everything else becomes possible. But there's a downside, a big one. Because this system creates dependency. Artists depend on the algorithm, on playlists, on visibility they don't control, and that's risky. Because if the system changes, their reach disappears. If the algorithm stops pushing their music, growth stops. And that's why many artists feel trapped. They know Spotify doesn't pay well, but they also know they can't ignore it. Because leaving Spotify means losing visibility. And losing visibility means losing opportunity. So now we arrive at the real truth. Spotify is not a payment platform. It's a marketing platform. It's where artists compete for attention, where careers can start but not necessarily sustain. And once you understand that, the entire system makes sense. So the next time you hear someone say, Spotify doesn't pay artists enough, remember this. That's true, but it's only part of the story. Because Spotify was never meant to pay artists well, it was meant to expose them. And in today's world, exposure is power. So the real question is not, why do artists stay on Spotify? The real question is, what would happen if they left? And the answer is simple, they would disappear. Follow for the next episode where we compare which platforms actually pay artists the most.